Hello, this is Mr. Chabry. We are here with the Ultra Sinnoh Classic. I'm going to go through some of the Pokemon that I think are going to be very possible that you would have to face down in this competition. But anyway, let's go over the rules once again. Single battles. Of course, you only pick 3 during the individual battles. The usual clauses like species, item, Uber. No Megastones or Z Crystals in this. So this is pretty interesting. This makes me think Knockoff's going to be very popular in this competition. Only Pokemon in the Sinnoh Dex that includes the Platinum expansion. No requirements of the Origin. You can bring Pokemon from the actual Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum games, or even Pokemon from Red, Blue, and Yellow Virtual Console, as long as they're in the Sinnoh Dex. So I think there might be a few interesting movesets. That's something I'd want to look into for that. Because like Pokemon like Crobat might have some interesting moves that they could get from these earlier generation games. But I'll actually come back to this little list later. What I want to do is go over some of the Pokemon that I think will... Some of the Pokemon that are possibly going to be used, and what I think on each of the ones that stand out to me. So, let's go off. We got Torterra, Infernape, and Empoleon. Infernape's probably going to be on a few teams. It can get U-turn, and it hits really hard, has nice speed. It even gets some decent special attack. So I think Infernape possibly will be up there. Empoleon, I think, probably be useful too. Torterra, actually, I don't think not that many people will be using Torterra. It's just really slow, and yeah, you don't want a Pokemon that's super slow, unless you have Trick Room teams, but I don't think Torterra, its typing kind of holds it back. Staraptor has... I think Staraptor would be pretty good here. Bibarel has the simple ability, so that means a Swords Dance will be at +4 instead of just +2. No one's going to be using Kricketune. I don't think so. Luxray, there might be a few Luxrays. It gets Intimidate. That's pretty interesting. Alakazam, it could be on there. It's got really good speed, good special attack. The problem with that, though, is it does not want to take a knockoff. And like I said, knockoff's going to be very big in this competition, so keep that in mind whenever you pick out your Pokemon. You don't want a Pokemon that's going to take a nasty hit. A nasty hit when you don't want it to. So, especially from knockoff. Like, Psychic types are probably not going to be the best thing to bring here. Honestly, because of knockoff being everywhere. We have Gyarados that has Intimidate. Roserade's probably going to be pretty good. Crobat, of course. Crobat's pretty fast. It can probably get some some of these Pokemon that you can find in the Virtual Console games. There might be some interesting like movesets for those. So I'm wondering if there's going to be something cool with Crobat. Golem. I don't think there's that many Golems. Steelix. No, I don't. I mean, Steelix might be because it's a nice defensive Pokemon, but I'm not totally sure on that. I know Golem probably won't be on that many teams. It's got too much of a special defense weakness. We have Rampardos, Bastiodon, Machamp, Golduck, which I think if there's some rain teams, I think Golduck would be nice. Because, as you'll see, Pelipper's actually on here too. So Pelipper, Golduck, you have the 2 ducks, as I think a lot of people call that strategy. Wormadam and Mothim, no one's going to be using that. Neither Beautifly or Dustox. Or even Vespiquen. Vespiquen's probably better than the other ones. The other bug types, but it's not the greatest. Pachirisu, Floatzel, Cherim, Gastrodon, which I think Gastrodon's probably going to be pretty interesting. It gets the ability Sticky Hold, and since like I said, Knockoff's going to be very big in this competition, I think it would be interesting having a Sticky Hold Gastrodon. Heracross, Ambipom, I think there's going to be quite a few of those, because Ambipom gets U-turn, of course, it gets Knockoff as well, and it can get Fake Out, so it can be like a nice lead. We got Drifloon, Lopunny, Gengar, Mismagius, Honchkrow, and even Murkrow, because Murkrow has a totally different playstyle than Honchkrow. So I think there might be a few of those. Perugly, Seaking, Wishcash, Chime Echo, Skuntank, Medicham, Bronzong, which, okay, so I think Bronzong might be pretty good for some Trick Room teams. It's a nice Pokemon. It has nice defenses. You could probably set up some like Stealth Rocks or stuff like that. Rapidash, Sudowoodo, Mr. Mime, Chansey, Blissey, Clefable. I think Clefable's probably going to be pretty popular, just because there's going to probably be a lot of Garchomps and a lot of knockoff users, like I said. So Clefable is probably going to be very nice. Chatot, Raichu, Noctowl, Spiritomb, Garchomp. Okay, so Garchomp. We're at Garchomp now. Garchomp's probably going to be the #1 used Pokemon in this, I would have to say, because it hits really hard. It's, as we're going to see when I get to this list later on, it's like you got the highest base stat total out of all these Pokemon being listed here. We have Snorlax. I think Snorlax is going to be a popular Pokemon. Unknown. I don't think anyone's going to use that one. Unknown's just not that great of a Pokemon. Lucario. Quagsire. I think Lucario is probably going to be popular. Mainly to counteract Snorlax, it's probably. Because I do think Snorlax is going to be very popular in this. Lucario is a pretty good counter to Snorlax. So is Infernape. And even up here, Staraptor. It gets close combat. I think that would be nice on a Snorlax. To use against a Snorlax. Quagsire. Quagsire is actually pretty decent in stopping setup sweepers, because it gets unaware. But then again, Clefable also gets unaware, so I think Clefable will probably be the better unaware user, just because it resists Garchomp and knockoff. We have Pelipper, so Pelipper gets drizzled now in this generation. So I think we're going to see quite a few Pelippers, not so much that you have to worry about it, but enough that it's something to keep in mind. Girafarig, Hippowdon. I think Hippowdon might be pretty good. Yeah, I think Hippowdon probably will be a pretty good Pokemon in this. Got nice defenses. Set up the Sandstorm. We have Azumarill. I think Azumarill is probably going to be pretty popular too, just because Garchomp, of course, and it resists knockoff. Plus, you can get Belly Drum on this one. So yeah, Azumarill is probably going to be pretty popular. Drapion, Toxicroak, Carnivine, Octillery. So Octillery, I'm not sure Octillery is going to do much. I don't know why I stopped with Octillery. Lumineon, Tentacruel, Milotic. I think Milotic would probably be popular. Mantine, Abomasnow, Weavile. Okay, I think Weavile is probably going to be up there as one of the most used Pokemon in this. Mainly because knockoff is going to be really nice in this competition. You don't have any Pokemon holding items that won't get knocked off, unless, say, you have like a Sticky Hold Gastrodon. But yeah, Weavile is really good with knockoff, plus it's a nice counter to Garchomp. So, of course, Garchomp's going to be a huge threat. You need to keep that in mind. Of course, Scarfed Garchomp will outspeed your Weavile, but if you can scout out to see what item the Garchomps have, Weavile would come in handy. We have Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. Rotom, Gliscor, even Gligar. If someone brings Eeveelution, that would be a pretty popular one. Rotom, I think Rotom, Wash Rotom, will probably be the most popular out of all of them. Just because it gives you something to hit. Like it balances out its weaknesses pretty well. We have Probopass, Gardevoir, Gallade, Licky, and then we have all the Eeveelutions except Sylveon. So you're not going to be using Sylveon in this. We have Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Espeon, Umbreon, Leafeon, Glaceon. So out of the Eeveelutions, Umbreon would probably be pretty decent. Not the greatest because Umbreon doesn't have that much attacking potential, but it does resist knockoff. You could use it as a cleric if you really want to. I think Vaporeon probably be good. It can get Wish. It's a nice Wish Passer. Maybe even Umbreon as a Wish Passer. I think that would work too. Leafeon is actually surprisingly defensive. I think that would be interesting if someone brought a Leafeon. Altaria, Togekiss. I think Togekiss would probably be popular too. Of course, it gets Serene Grace and Air Slash. So if you come across someone with a Togekiss, just hope that they don't flit you out. Houndoom, Magnezone, Tangrowth, Yanmega, Tropius, Rhydon, even Rhyperior, Dusknoir, Dusclops. Dusclops would work nice with an Eeveelution, Porygon 2, and Porygon Z. So I think these Pokemon will probably be pretty decent here. They get a nice coverage moves. Scyther, Scizor. I think Scizor will probably be pretty good here too. Just keep in mind to have some answer for fire types if you bring a Scizor. Electivire, Magmortar, Mamoswine, Glalie, Frostlass, and Absol. So these are all the Pokemon I just named off that will probably be getting a lot of usage. The ones I think... Okay, so I'm going to look at this list here. The ones that I think are going to be up there is Garchomp, of course, because if you see here, here's a list of Pokemon by their base stat totals. Garchomp is number 1. Garchomp is above all the others, so yeah, Garchomp's going to be big in this. Keep that in mind. Uxie, Mesprit, and Elf are under that. I'm not so sure they're going to get that much usage, just because Knockoff is going to be huge. I think a lot of people are going to be bringing Knockoff. Gyarados, Milotic, Electivire, Magmortar, Snorlax, and Blissey are below that. I think out of those, Snorlax is going to get a lot of usage, and probably even Gyarados. Blissey might get a lot of usage too, because it's such a nice special defense wall. I think it would be interesting seeing Electivire and Magmortars. I don't really see much of those. Those are Pokemon that were a lot better in previous generations, and here in Generation 7, they're just not as great as they once were. Crobat, Magnezone, Tangrowth, Rhyperior, and Porygon Z. Out of those, I think Porygon Z is going to be pretty big. Crobat might get a little bit of usage just because it's so fast. You might do some, like, Confuse Ray shenanigans or something. And then Infernape. I think Infernape will be pretty big, because it's a nice fire type. And the problem with the Sinnoh Dex is there's not really that many really great fire types. I mean, I can go through here and name off all the fire types. Infernape, of course. Down here, Rapidash. If you played Diamond and Pearl without moving Pokemon forward, you know that's the only two choices of fire types you get. But then in Platinum, they did add a few more fire types. Flareon, Houndoom, and Magmortar. So there's not really that many fire types. I think Infernape is going to be on a lot of teams just because of that. Another Pokemon I think is going to be on a lot of teams is Weavile, like I said. Weavile is a nice answer to Garchomp. Garchomp's going to be on most teams, I would probably say. So bring a Weavile just for that. Another Pokemon is Clefable. I think Clefable is going to be on a lot of teams. Gotta keep in mind, though, Garchomp usually has coverage moves like Poison Jab, even Iron Head. So Clefable has to worry about that. But I do think Clefable is going to be on a lot of teams. Scrolling through here, Snorlax is going to probably be on a few teams. Lucario, too. There's a lot of hard-hitting Pokemon that I think are going to rise to the top in this. There's some Pokemon that I think aren't really going to rise that much. Mainly some of these psychic types, like Chime Echo. Yeah, Chime Echo is not going to be up there. But I do think maybe Bronzong could, but you still have to worry about knockoff. I think what you want to do is have a lot of Pokemon that resist dark type moves, like your own dark types or even fairy types. Even some fighting types would be nice too, like get your own Infernape. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So that's right there, some of my thoughts on the Ultra Sinnoh Classic. I think this is a really interesting competition that's shaping up here. But soon I'm going to be doing some videos showing off, like trying to plan out my own team. I'm pretty sure I'll probably end up having a Weavile just because Garchomp. Garchomp. Keep that in mind. Clefable needs to be there for Garchomps. Just have some answer for Garchomp. Something where if you see a Garchomp on your opponent's team that you have to throw out there to fight the Garchomp. But anyway, that's basically it. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I will see you in the actual planning of my team.